Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today in the desert outside of Dubai. But we are not going to be going off-roading. I'm not here in a car suitable for the sand at all, but rather one that is much more at home on the tarmac, and a delight it is to drive as well. Today I am driving the Ferrari 812 Superfast. Now the 812 is one of my absolute favourite current production cars to go out and drive, and in fact ever since I drove it for the first time, which was at Ferrari's test track in Ferrari, Maranello, Italy, I pretty much fell instantly in love with it. The combination of the 6.5 litre naturally aspirated V12, the two-seat Super GT format, the style of the car, and the stunning looks as well. All in all, this is one epic package. Now earlier this year, I drove Nabil from Topaz's 812 Superfast, and I liked it so much I went out and bought my own Ferrari V12, the GTC4 Lusso. But I tell you what, they've just introduced the 812 GTS, the convertible version that has a retractable hardtop, and well, it's got me pretty tempted, that's for sure. So today we're going to take this out, have a bit of a drive, enjoy plenty of sound, and talk about whether a GTS or even a Superfast could fit into the garage, as well as covering some of the other cars, what's incoming, and what I like quite so much about this. It is quite an unusual view then, having this car with that backdrop, the sand, the dunes, and actually a surprising number of clouds in the sky for out here in Dubai. We're not going to be doing any of that. Thanks to having 800 horsepower to the rear wheels, we would get stuck in a matter of seconds, despite how much fun that actually looks like it is to head out through the dunes. But look at this thing. What a spectacular specification. Grigio Titanio for the paintwork. We then have the satin black wheels with the red calipers. Those 10-spoke wheels I think look awesome, but the whole combination of factors of the 812 is what makes it so special to me. You've got that mid-front mounted V12, a traditional Ferrari thing, a big stonking V12 engine. It sounds phenomenal, it drives like you wouldn't believe, and in this case it makes the 800 horsepower output, which you just have to consider is a big number. And in fact, if you didn't know, 812 Superfast stands for 8 from 800 horsepower, 12 from the V12. That's where the name came from. The follow-on to the F12 Berlinetta. Before that there was the 575, the 550, all of this history of Ferrari going way back actually into the 60s, the 275s, the 250s, a big V12 up front, and then this two-seat position, in this case sitting almost right back towards the rear axle, which gives you that elongated bonnet out in front, makes a super comfortable, relaxed drive if you want to. But I can tell you, when you dial it up and you put this thing into race mode, it sounds and it goes like a ballistic weapon. The looks of the car, very traditional Ferrari. You've got the quad tail lights, you've got lots of the lines. You can see obviously sporty intent from the diffuser. You've got the quad tailpipes down at the bottom. Around the front you can see just aero designs, swooshes, swoops all around it. I think at the initial time it was introduced, a lot of people felt that that was quite a big gaping mouth around the front, but have warmed to it and grown to it over time. You can see the way the splitter has openings, airflow that can go all around, intakes just inside the front headlights. But it's really all, I think, about that engine, and that is why I went for the Lusso, to enjoy the V12s while we still have them. Now this is actually a car from Ferrari out here in the region. They have very kindly lent it to me for a couple of days to get around out here in Dubai. But let's come around, see if I can find the catch to open this up very quickly. Right, there we go. And that is where you can feast your eyes on the 6.5 litre V12, a work of art, sitting mounted back behind the front axle to give you, well, proper supercar feel really. Obviously engine up front, but a mid-front engine. This is basically my favourite, I think, form factor of a car in terms of driving in all different environments. It might not be quite as fast as a mid-engine supercar if you're out on a racetrack, but it's not exactly going to be far behind. And I think this can bring us on to talking about some of the other cars that are in the garage and some of the other cars that are going to be arriving as another off-roader, I think, a patrol has gone blasting across the dunes. Well, of course, I bought the Ferrari GTC4 Lusso earlier this year because I wanted to experience that front-mid V12 format. It is going to be a dying breed, they won't be around forever, but the Lusso, well, it's a significantly more practical car than the 812. It's only 26 centimetres longer, I did look it up, but it has 4 seats. The rear seats have plenty of space for a grown adult. It also has quite a decent amount of luggage space in the very back as well, and of course it's also four-wheel drive. Talking of luggage space, let me come and show you very quickly in the back of this, because something specific about the cars out here in the Middle East is that they have to carry inside a spare wheel, which unfortunately does mean it takes up well, a large proportion of the amount of space that you have back here. You can see we've got the personalisation specifications plaque, Grigio titanium metal, along with all of the other options of what is a very, very nice interior. So unfortunately, you lose a bit of space back here, and if you had a new F8 or a Pista or something, that would actually be in the front, taking up the entirety of the space. So you wouldn't have that on a European spec car. You'd have a tyre repair kit or filler, temporary solution. So the Lusso and this do different purposes. You could, I think, happily get away with having both of the two cars side by side, as strange as that might be. Talking also though about front mid-engine cars, another that you will know I'm a big fan of are the ones from Mercedes-AMG. Running my GTR for 2 years, I enjoyed it an awful lot. The GTR Pro is waiting for me back at home for as soon as I get back from this trip, and I've also got coming next spring the GTR Roadster. Now maybe in the future, fingers crossed, if I'm super lucky, there might be a GTR Black Series to come as well, all part of the collection, and I'm a big fan, as many of you will know, of the SLS AMG Black Series. So to me, this is kind of the grown-up version of the GTRs. It's a different league. You know, the GTRs are 585 horsepower. This is 800. That sounds pretty good. I think that was probably a GLE 63 or something like that. Sounded like an AMG V8. Anyway, this is, well, it's a package that to me is an absolute win. Let's come and close down the front quickly. Give that latch into place, get this fired up, because I've probably talked for more than enough and we should take it out for a little drive. So we've got the key just here, which you can insert into a little cubby that it's got right there. You've got the start button on the steering wheel, turn on the ignition, wake it all up, and then take a listen to this as it comes into life. It's such a good sound. It is such a good sound. Oh, we don't want the radio on. Listen to that, and we've got the Manatino, pop it up into race. Yes, basically this thing sounds mega. Let's go drive. Fortunately, where I am right now, we actually have some pretty decent roads around to go out and enjoy. We will start in sport right now, but one of the biggest things about this car to me is the gearbox. It is amazing. The way it shifts is just a level on from the Lusso, and of course there's a lot in common between this and the GTC4 Lusso, but this is just sharper, more dynamic, more aggressive, more finely tuned, more on point in every way, and you would expect that. It's a different purpose, it's a different kind of car, but you can actually drive it very gently, very calmly, very relaxed, very much a cruiser if you want it to be, and you can go into bumpy road mode as well on the steering wheel. If you want to give that a little press, it will then soften it up even more, and I mean, you just drive along. You pop the car into wet, it's your daily driver, and that's actually what I think intrigues me the most. I mean, I know the car can drive hard, I've done that many times, but driving it gently and just cruising around in it, it's a brilliant thing to just drive. And then if you go the other way and you go into race, losing my voice a little bit, and you press auto and you start dropping some gears, it does it so quickly and sharply, and then that, just a heavenly sound. And that's only about 5,500 RPM. It's the downshifts though. Ferocious instant kick, instant drop down a gear. You have to hold on tight because the car, well, I referred to it earlier as a missile, didn't I? And that is really the feel of this thing, because when you put your foot down, you will reach whatever speed limit you're in, other than a de-restricted German autobahn, in about half a second. It is so quick and so dramatic as well, and exciting when you drive the car, yet the steering feel is also very good when you push on through a corner. You're going to slow down to go over a bump annoyingly, and you've got to watch out for the front nose of the car. Obviously we do not want to scrape it at all, but we will have right now a nice acceleration onto a full 120 km/h speed limit road. So around the corner we go. It just clings on. Yeah, okay, there's a tiny bit of movement, but now what a sound! What a ridiculous feel as well. This car, I'm a little bit, I mean, I know I love it because I've driven a couple of them. I drove it on the road in Italy, I drove the car on the racetrack at Fiorano, I drove Nabil's car like I said. But imagine this without a roof, or rather with a folding hardtop. So folding hardtop would give you the opportunity to have it like this, with the roof up. It would give you the opportunity to just lower the rear window and hear all of that noise from the exhaust without getting rained on if you're in the UK, or to lower the entire roof in just a matter of seconds, and then have the Ferrari front engine V12 convertible driving experience, something that actually has only just returned after 50 years. And you would get that. Oh wow. Roof down. So here's one of the things I know you're all going to be talking about in the comments. I have too many cars. Yes, I have too many cars. This is not a question. I love cars, I love hoarding cars, I love collecting cars. I want to collect cars that are special. And this is where the Superfast, or the GTS, the convertible, I actually think is pretty special. I've never actually ordered a new Ferrari. So that's another thing that interests me, is I'd love to do so. I'd love to experience it, because I think it is a step ahead of pretty much everyone else, just in terms of the experience and in terms of what it's like, in terms of going to Maranello to spec it, in terms of taking delivery in Maranello as well, should you wish, and driving the car home, all of those kind of things. And that would be a really, really cool thing to one day to actually do. The downside is that Ferrari V12 engine cars tend to depreciate quite heavily, combined with the market being in a pretty bad place at the moment. I don't think that's going to make for a very good combination, so that's what would put me off. It's so cool. It's so cool. And in case you're wondering about the beeps, by the way, it's normal in cars out here that they beep when you get to basically the speed limit, just to warn you to not accelerate any faster, and you get up to 140 before the cameras will flash you, but so yes, every time I go 115 to 125, beep, 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 that's what you get. At least indicated, of course. Remember that the real speed is slightly below the indicated speed. So you can see why it tempts me, because I absolutely love the driving experience. As a car to drive, and all of my cars, however many are there, we drive them all, we take them on trips. We've got a few things planned with some of the team, the guys that you know will be bringing the cars as well, and we'll take multiple of them out together. And there's nothing more fun to me than being able to share the cars than that. And I've also got all of these man cave plans where in the not very distant future the cars will all be on display, on show, in a garage together. I have a few things, a few options I'm working on, and let's see if we can pull all of that off. So you can see why, to me, I would just have one of these, Superfast or GTS, and drive. If I was buying a car, forgetting the money, just for what it's like to drive, this is the top of my list. This is, I think, my favourite car to drive on the road from the current cars on sale, on production, you know, new models, not including things that are from the past and no longer on sale. And you also, actually, just to go up a gear, you have in the Ferrari, remember, if you're braking, you can hold the shift paddle, and it will automatically downshift as soon as it can, optimum downshift points. And then it just happens that we have plenty more of that first and second gear. But here, going around the roundabout, the front end is so super dialed in. For a car of this size and weight, you can go really quickly around a corner, comfortably in control, and then come out onto the straight again. This is where we get an opportunity to once again foot down, which you never want to do when you have the steering wheel at an angle, or you're definitely going to end up rotating, and that is not going to be much fun. So all in all, what a driving experience, what a car. I'm a big fan. I'm a very big fan. I'm just sitting here smiling, driving this thing, the downshifts just now coming to a stop. I wasn't rolling the cameras, but dropping it down, fourth, third, second, first, the colossal explosion of sound from behind. And looking as well, have a look around the interior. It is really nice. Ferrari have their own distinct style. Now they have a different style with the new cars like the SF90 and the Roma compared to, you know, what we're looking at right here. But like the Lusso, you've got a storage area underneath a central bridge. You've got a steering wheel that has so many controls on it, your indicators, your lights, your bumpy road mode button, your Manatino switches from wet mode all the way up to, well, if you want to turn everything off, that's all you've got to do, and everything is off. That's it, done. Which is different setup to everyone else. You have things like the passenger, the display screen here, where they can see, you know, VDA, to see what driving mode you're in. They can see live the performance charts, the speed and the revs. You can see there, for example, lots of different fun things. And this isn't, oh, I went into media by mistake, but this isn't necessarily the fastest system, but it's really cool that you can have that in Ferraris. I just think that this car is, in so many ways, such an epic thing. And the finish of this with the red stitching through the center, the red piping, the red leather areas, the stitching, all the carbon parts that you have everywhere. You can actually get all of this in carbon fiber down here as well, should you prefer. But yeah, the sound of it, listen to this. What a noise. And we've got the red rev counter in here. You can have that in yellow or silver or a few different things. The shift lights up here too. And then to turn it off, you pop it into first gear. And just like that, we have silence. This car though, what a drive. I can't not say thank you to the guys at Ferrari enough for the opportunity to be driving with this. It's epic. So the GTS, just quickly to touch on it, of course, has a different top and rear deck. Obviously the windscreen line stops here. You have a two-part folding roof, so a larger part and a smaller part, which flip over underneath the rear buttresses, which open up. So of course you don't have the view through the rear window. You have a flat rear deck, which does look a little bit peculiar, but the rest of the car, you know, from here down and around is all the same. The front is all the same. Perhaps some aero changes and small bits and pieces. But this, yeah, I really enjoy it. The 812 Superfast. It's a good car. It's a really good car. And when I drove the car earlier this year, I was thinking, if practicality wasn't on the agenda for the Lusso to go, you know, to the mountains, to go skiing, to go on road trips, this would be the one. But then they released the GTS, and I think we all know how much I like convertibles. 675 LT Spider being the perfect example, the Gtr Roadster that is coming, in the past many convertibles that have existed in my garage. So, let's see. Decisions for the future. And I'm not just saying it, by the way. I do genuinely like this a lot. I think the GTS is probably going to be the greatest car you can currently buy from the market. Ferrari have absolutely nailed it. There we go though. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you again to Ferrari, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Cheers!